Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is a special edition of the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, the top offensive player of the week, co-offensive player of the week. I had a player from Conard yesterday. It was hard to pick either one, so I had to pick them both. This is another Waterbury Career Academy player who I'm having on, and he had a fantastic game last week, and he'll talk about that game as well. Devontae Lane, a junior running back who had 16 rushes, over 160 plus yards, and 5 touchdowns. Devontae, thanks for coming on.
No problem, man.
you know, Playing the running back position, it's very, it's kind of like offensive line. Unless you're doing something, a lot of people are not really talking about that position. And I feel like what you've been able to do away from just the touchdowns and the yards, you're putting in a lot of work that people aren't seeing. How has it been going so far this season for you?
Um, Personally, I think the first game of the season, I didn't really do as good. I felt like blocking wise, I could do a lot better, and just be able to move my feet and lower my shoulder more. I could do way better. Second game, that whole week of practice was just straight nothing but work. I felt like that wasn't me. I put so much work in the off season to not be that guy. And then coming into that game, I was like, it's just a killer mentality, just to keep scoring and scoring, and moving my feet and trusting my blocks.
You talk about the blocking aspect, and obviously, when you think of like Zeke Elliott, Saquon Barkley, a lot of the premier running backs, I know Zeke is kind of towards the downhill end of his career, but still, he's a very good blocker. What I
Right.
feel like, just in my conversations that I've had with talking with various coaches, college, high school, whichever, they look for running backs that can A, run the rock, but they also look for, can that player block? Because you're not going to get the ball every single time unless you're running a triple option. And even sometimes you still have to block. So talk to me about your blocking aspect.
Blocking aspect, it's really just my coaches always are hard on me on blocking to keep Kayvon safe, because he's not the biggest quarterback of all time, but we got to keep it, but we need him. So they always push me to block inside and out, pick up a blitz, look where everybody's at, wherever the blitz is coming from, stay on that side, just to keep the play, just to keep moving.
Now you mentioned about, picking up blitzes, and sometimes it's very difficult, especially when you're facing like the Ansonias, the Naugatucks, because they can scheme and show you pre-snap, they could show you a 3-4, and then post-snap, they could go into a full house jail blitz because that's just how they
Right.
are.
hmm
So so for you, especially with you only being a junior, you're still learning the game and defenses. Do you feel like now with, it being your junior year, you're starting to really kind of pick up some tells on the defensive side against opposing defenses?
Yeah. Pre-snap, I'll look at every defender and see what's going on. I know how to read a defense, even if we're in a 4 front, 3 front, 5 front. Like, I know how to pick up everybody. But the only thing that I preach for any back is the most dangerous man. If you see the man coming to the ball first head, take him first and ride him out, because all the defenders are gonna have to go around him regardless, and it's gonna take more time for them to get to the QB, and the QB has more time to get the ball off.
Has Coach Russo been a major, has he been a major impression for you, especially being a guy who has went from a special teamer to Division One and being such a stout athlete? Has he been able to make an impression on you early on for, thus far?
First day when he first came to our school and introduced himself to the team, I was sold. Like, I knew like he was gonna be him. Like, he's just a great coach. He's so joyful. But when it's time to get serious, it's time to get serious. Like, he always pushing me at practice, telling me to run full speed, telling me to just be on my blocks, lower my shoulder, and just be a running back who could take any hit and give the hit.
You know, Coach Russo is a defensive guy, or at least, he played defense and he was a very good player at that.
hmm
When he first introduced and was kind of, to the team and was just talking about what he expected and such, did the defensive guys kind of perk up and go, oh, like this guy is a D1 division, former Division One D guy. We need
hmm
to pick his brain a little bit. How was that?
Um, all the defensively, all the guys, like, they always asking Russo questions on the sideline. If you got like a quick second break, even during our little scrimmages at practice, they always picking off him. But defense, like, he pushes our defense to the max. Him and Coach Sturdivant, they're both like lockdown defensive players that I know of.
Mhm.
And the way that they just sell the game between all the team is just ridiculous. Like, I think Defensively, we've only allowed 2 touchdowns for the first 2 games, and I think it's because the way that they preach the defense. Our defensive line is crazy, and of course we have Dasani Yates at linebacker and defensive end. I'm playing both sides of the ball, and we also got another linebacker, Giovanni Vargas. They know how to fill the holes, and our corners are just ridiculous. Like we have a lot of talent on each side of the ball, but defensively, I think is where we stand out the most.
Do you feel like going up against that talent defensively, both in the weight room when you're kind of trying to outdo each other and then in
Mhm.
practice has made you a better back? Because there's not many defenses. Again, I know it's early on, but thinking about what career has and what other teams have in the NVL, it's very hard to be able to really say, okay, who has a Yates? I mean, obviously Ansonia's got their guys,
Mhm.
Naugatuck's got Ramos and Burrell and others, but it's hard to really say that there's a lot of teams that have what you guys have.
Yeah, we're always going back and forth in the weight room. Always trying to uplift each other and like have a competition to make us better. Every day at practice, they're always pushing me, especially Dasani if he's coming off the edge. I got to make certain moves, think smarter and faster, to where it's like in game it's more muscle memory and fluent. So where it's like where I go, I'm out.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So, leading up to this season, first couple games before games even started, Coach Russo, what was he? I had a conversation with him a couple weeks ago, and I was asking, or actually not even a couple weeks ago, last week, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, where do you feel like your team is at right now?" He gave me a number, and he said, "This is where they're at." And I was like, I expect you guys to be at the end of the season and be at an even higher number. Does he hold you guys to a very high standard, high expectations?
Every day. Every day he goes to a high standard. Cause I know that he sees you can show me?
I guess you're good.
Okay. Yeah, he holds us to the highest standards, and I know that we execute every single day and push ourselves even harder. But I think that we could be a number one team in this league. Yeah,
No,
definitely number one team,
I
without
can
a doubt.
see that as well. I think you guys, if you keep improving like you are, I mean, let's be honest. Just looking at the schedule, after you play against St. Paul, you got a very good schedule coming up as far as Holy Cross, Crosby, Oxford, Naugatuck. You'll
Hmm.
know, you'll know by the last probably couple games of the season where you guys stand, especially going up against the Holy Crosses and the Naugatucks of the world.
Right.
You know. Now, looking at kind of the full picture here with you, now with you being a running back, is that the only position you play, correct?
Running back and middle linebacker.
No, linebacker. Okay, so you're playing both sides of the ball.
Not entirely, because they have Dasani and Gio, and we also have another linebacker, Newman Reeves.
Mhm.
So they kind of like I play a role where it's like where I'm the guy where I just come in at running back and just have to be like the best back like there is.
Okay, so it kind of keeps your legs fresh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
only focusing on that one position.
exactly.
Okay. So last week's game, um, did it hit you that you were having like, I mean, have you ever scored 5 touchdowns before in a game?
No, that's actually my first time doing this.
So, did that I mean, when did it hit you that you were doing something that you have never done before?
I knew once we went into halftime, I said, my coach was like, "You know how many touchdowns you have?" I was like, "No, how many touchdowns do I have?" I was like, "You have 4 at the half." I'm like, "4?" I'm like, I thought I only played like 3. Like I didn't even know I had that many touchdowns. I was just, I gotta keep going. My running back and linebacker coach, he was telling me, he
Mhm.
was like, the first game you didn't have a great game. You're still behind. And every time I scored, he just kept telling me, "You're still behind. You're still behind." And that's what just kept me moving and moving.
Are you the kind of running back that are you more north to south or are you east to west? Like, where do you are you the kind of back that has to get your momentum going to then put on the jets? Or are you someone that as soon as you get the rock, you can go 0 to 100?
I think I'm a back where it's like once I get started, then I turn on the jacks. Like I have to hit the hole and then make my decision from there.
Did you feel like the game last week you were able to be patient and allow your offensive line to make the holes for you so that way you can get as many yards as possible?
That's funny that you asked that because my coaches today we were watching film and they were like, you changed your game. You had a whole 360 in your game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They were like, that you are usually a downhill running back. You don't wait for the blocks. You just go, put your shoulder down, and get a couple yards. But this game, you let your blocks settle up, you read the holes, and you just cut off from where you were going from. And I was like, now I'm watching the film. I'm like, okay, I see what they're talking about now. Like, I got to change the game.
Who was who was the coach that told you that? Was it a group of them or was it one?
It was it was my running back coach, Coach Nigel.
Okay. So did you know did Coach Russo say anything to you about that or no?
Yeah, actually, he said that during this week, he said really progress on watching your blocks. You like when the pulling guards or lot or even the running back lead, the other running back like Dasani lead blocking for me, like really read off the blocks and just finding holes because usually when we would run plays during the teams, I would get stopped maybe like 5 yards into like the first carry. But it shouldn't be like that. Every time I touch the ball, I should be able to score by reading the blocks and knowing how everything is.
As a running back too, you know, I think the biggest aspect obviously is to get positive yards. But I think, not every time you get the rock, it's not like there's going to be holes. Some
Right.
points there's going to be where it's just like there's nowhere to go. So is it difficult for you to because I've always heard from coaches that they want their running backs to always go forward, at least get back to the line of scrimmage. Is that
Yeah.
something that's difficult for you? Are you able to do that?
Um, no, maybe last year, yeah. Now I feel like since now I'm more fluent with the game and I know what I'm doing now, I can read holes better. And like I have my vision got way better looking from north to south to seeing if the backside cut is open or if the hole that I'm supposed to be going to is open. I can just differentiate between both.
Which gap do you prefer when you get the rock? Are you more likely to go through the A gap, the B gap, or the C gap?
Mm, I like all my gaps, but if I had to really pick, I'd probably say B gap.
Any particular reason why?
Just because as soon as I get to the B gap, I'm one on one either with a corner or a linebacker, and
Mhm.
I know me either if it's a big linebacker and he just wants to come up and tackle, I can shake him, or if it's another smaller guy, just put my shoulder down and just run through him.
Okay, so if it's Yates coming after you, what are you doing?
I gotta put a move on him. I'm not that I gotta know I gotta understand myself. There's a safety. I'm not the biggest back. I have like yeah, I'm big, but I'm not the biggest. So I gotta like differentiate myself.
I mean, Dasani's got long arms, though. I feel like he could reach and grab onto a shoe or something or a string.
Yeah, but I'm too low to the ground. Exact. And I also got these Saquon legs. I don't know if you saw, but yeah, I got these Saquon legs and they help me a lot. So
Saquon legs.
now I literally I promise you, like if once you go to the game, you'll see for yourself. I promise you.
Okay, so that means are you squatting like 1,000 pounds like him then?
500, 500.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean, if I ask Coach Russo, he'll tell me not enough. Gotta be
Exactly.
more
Not
than
enough.
that. But you know what? I like that. I may have to use that when we have career later on in the season. When if and when you produce, which I think you will, I'll have to say that it must be the Saquon legs. It's got to be. You're lucky too, because my partner is a big Giants fan, so that will make him extremely happy.
Listen, we're 2-0 right now. We're 2-0.
Oh, you're a
Thank you,
Giants
question.
fan?
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan too. We're 2-0. Saquon's one of my favorite players.
I'm a Cowboys fan, so Monday night will be very interesting next week.
We definitely will. We will see. We will see.
And speaking of Saquon, I mean, you just mentioned how he's one player that you like. I know you said, I know you mentioned Zeke as well.
Hmm.
Are there particular running backs that you try to watch? Now, you're not the biggest player.
Hmm.
So because of that, I almost feel like you watch, certain type of backs, or are you watching all kind of running backs?
I watch certain type of back. I think I have three favorite backs in the league right now. That I can take my game from at least. That I base my game off of. I would want to say number one, Saquon. Two, Zeke, and number three, Leonard Fournette.
Interesting. So you pick Leonard Fournette's a big dude. Like he's big. He's
Hmm.
he's like a bowling ball. He's like a rock.
Right.
And then Barkley, same thing. Maybe not as big, but like you said, he's got lower gravity. He's got that
Hmm.
strength going. And then Zeke is kind of like a mix of both. but
Right.
he does. I think he's a little bit better of a blocker than the other two.
Exactly. That's the reason I watch Zeke because of his blocking. I was trying to take my scheme to try to learn how to block from him and how he reads everything.
Do you ever go on YouTube or go on any sort of like if you can watch film on them just to see what they do?
Every day. Even before a game, just to get my mind on what I'm doing before a game. Like the game before the Friday the game, I
Mhm.
was watching clips in my last period because I obviously it was like a study hall at my last period.
I was about
So
to say, make sure it's a study
yeah,
hall. I don't want you
it
doing
was like
that during school.
it was like a study hall, and I'm just sitting there watching Saquon highlights and how he hits the hole, how he gets back out, and how
Mhm.
he's just so fluent with everything. How he flows with the line, how he knows how to cut back, and all that.
So before a game, what's on the Spotify? What's on the playlist? What kind of who are you listening to? Gotta know.
Before a game, little baby,
Lil Baby?
little baby,
He's the only one.
little baby, and sometimes little Dirk. Just depends on what type of mood I'm in for that game. Like if I want to just be like just get it in, get the job done, I'm listening to little baby because I just like little baby like he clears my mind. But in certain things I can relate to and just like yeah, like I'm about to like just like I'm in the zone now. Like I'm about to go crazy.
So he's spitting the rhymes to kind of get your mind going to keep it fluid. So now when once you get the rock, it's like, okay, game time, let's go.
Exactly.
Is there any sort of pregame do you make sure you drink a lot of water? Are you eating bananas? Is there any sort of meal that you need to have before a game to make sure that you keep that routine in check?
Before a game, I drink a gallon of water. I bring a gallon of water before a game every day, and I take a banana
Mhm.
and then usually granola bars and stuff like that.
That's smart. I mean, again, especially being a running back, you got to make sure that you're keeping hydrated and not getting cramped up. Because I saw that last week at a game I was doing at Naugatuck. A couple players
Right.
got cramped up,
Mm-hmm.
especially with it being, starting to get cooler, but it's still pretty hot out,
Right.
you know. But hey, Devontae, great for, I really do appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. Before I let you go really quick, what kind of goals have you set for yourself? Now, I know team aspect, make the playoffs, which career has not been able to. The
Right.
closest they came was the year, I think, before COVID. The team went,
Yeah,
I think,
2019 when they went
7-3.
73, right?
Correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct. And that senior class never had a losing season, never
Right.
in all the years, which was fantastic. Um, are there any goals that you set for yourself that you want to accomplish by season's end?
This year's goal is to be the best running back in the nation and to get all state. That's my goals for the season.
Would the other one be to have Nick Saban be knocking on your door too?
I wish, but yeah, that's definitely a goal for me. Yes, definitely.
Who's your college team? I didn't even ask you that.
University of Georgia, the Bulldogs.
I should have guessed. I was either thinking Bama or Georgia. I feel like because all the good running backs are there,
Exactly.
But hey, good answer, buddy. I'm a Gamecocks fan, so we haven't beat Georgia in like 4 years. So, but it's okay. You guys are good. But hey, Devontae, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Congratulations on being named the co-offensive player of the week, and keep doing what
Thank you.
you're doing, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Now, wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm not sure you find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.